Hope everybody is doing well. I'm coming from the comfort of my couch here in Greenville, South Carolina, where it is not a beautiful day outside. I wish I could report differently, but hopefully it looks good on your side of the world, wherever you're coming from. Really excited to get this Town Hall Summit 2021 off to a good start this year. When we started this a little less than a year ago, we didn't realize it would turn into what it is today, but we're really excited to come to you today and deliver what will hopefully be kind of the future of sportainment and adventure attraction equipment industry information to you. I kind of just want to kind of go over some ground rules and some agenda topics for today. We're going to try to keep everybody on mute and hold the question and answer section towards the end. So as we go through our presentation and talk to some of our vendors that we work with, be sure and put your questions into the chat section. We have a moderator who's going to actually be looking through those and organizing those towards the end. And we'll work to answer those and get to them as we can towards the end of the session. And then also prior to that, we're going to actually be passing over the mic to a lot of our vendor partners who we've had the pleasure of working with over the past several years. And so we're really excited to be able to introduce them, and they'll be able to talk about from their perspective, what's new for 2021 and what are some of the things that they're seeing that are doing really well, even during COVID, and what they're expecting to do really well post-COVID. And then a little bit about our topics today. So we've got several people presenting across the entire world today within the Fun Spot Sportainment company. And some of those topics are what turnkey solutions that we deliver to our FEC owners and investors. So Gina McKay from Spain is going to be talking about that alongside myself. Another topic we'll be doing will be the introduction to climbing to the Olympic Games, which I'm really excited to hear more about. For that section, we have Frans Moss from the Netherlands talking, and Colin Boothroyd, who's going to be talking about that as well. He has a lot of experience in climbing. And then to kind of kick off our town hall today, we're going to be talking about the benefits of having a multi-activity facility and how to choose the activities to add. And that'll be presented by myself, Alfredo Golden, who's also presenting from Spain, and Stefan. You know, you're going to have to get with me later on this pronunciation, but I think it's Labrie, so I'm not entirely sure, but we'll get that shirt up here a little bit later. But to kind of dive right into this first topic about what it means to be a multi-activity facility. You know, in our industry, it was kind of a taboo to really call yourself a trampoline park anymore. And many, many people are actually even taking the time to rebrand themselves as an adventure park. And it wasn't until a few years ago that many trampoline parks operated without any threat of competition. As I continue to have conversations with our own clients that were planning out new parks in markets that might have had existing parks already, they really forced me to start to think outside the box, to really come up with new product lines that would complement our trampoline equipment. Because of that, we were the first trampoline manufacturer to start manufacturing and installing ninja courses. We were the first to do ropes courses, fun climbing walls with clip and climb. We were excited to really have a huge library of over 40 different walls to add, and now even soft play playgrounds. So even activities for some of the younger kids from 1 to 5 years old. But since then, we've really continued to expand our portfolio with other products like the Zip Zag indoor coasters, interactive gaming products with Rugged Interactive and Valo Motion. Even we're adding things like mechanical bulls and gyrospheres that you sit in kind of strap into a seat and it spins you all around. We're actually working on a project now that has a mini golf course. So we're really excited to add that to our portfolio and be able to show clients the options of adding maybe a 9 or 18 hole mini golf course. And then some of the most exciting VR setups through VR studios are entering in the market today with some really exciting games. So we're excited to actually show you some of those products with some of our vendor partners here in a little bit. But really, the first thing that I do with our owners when we start to plan out the park is to make a list of all the competition. And I think that's important as we begin to expand into markets that have existing parks already. And this competition may be both big and may be small. It could be, you know, an inflatable park, or it could be another massive indoor adventure park. But we like to put down all the activities and the attractions they offer. This way we can kind of strategically plan out their space to incorporate all the activities that they want, all the activities that they expect their market to want to have. And that might also include all the staples that you see in a trampoline park today, even some of the anchor attractions like a airbag pit or a main jumping court, or even dodgeball is still really, really popular. And I can speak specifically to the US market today, and I'm excited to share my time with Alfredo, who can speak to more of the European market. But in the US market today, you would expect to have about 15 or more unique activities or attractions in your park to be able to compete against existing parks. Or also, what's also important is to be defensible against other competition, so that you can, so you don't encourage someone else to enter the market to compete against you. There isn't one recipe for success in an adventure park today, but we would expect to find trampoline attractions, rugged interactive equipment, Valo equipment, clip and climb walls, maybe even an indoor overhead ropes course. Ninja courses are still wildly popular. If height allows, an indoor zip-zag coaster, maybe even laser tag, indoor playground for even smaller kids. So those are all those things that kind of go into really make sure that you are competing in what we are seeing more and more into these saturated markets in the US. There are fewer and fewer markets in the US that are open up for an adventure park because it's becoming harder to compete against someone else. But our aim is to make it as easy and simple as possible for our owners by providing a one-stop shop for anything and everything, to continuing to innovate new products that we make in-house, or strategically partner with some of the really cool guys that we're going to introduce later in this town hall. From here, I'm really excited to introduce both Stefan and Alfredo, who both help with our international owners for FunSpot Europe. We've been following trends in those markets, and they really have the keys to success in those. While I can speak to the US, they really have that unique perspective for the rest of the world. Stefan, specifically, I'd love to hear your take on Europe and what you believe the benefits of having a multi-activity facility are.
Okay, thanks, Matt. And my name is La Barrière, so it's easy to pronounce when you are French.
Perfect.
When you speak English. Thanks for the introduction. So I will present very briefly in two sentences myself. So actually, I'm in the development of this all these activity and the sales in the European market, but I was in operation. So in operation for multi-activity center. So I know a bit the story of all that. So it's maybe interesting to hear for all of attendees to explain why I'm going to explain all that. And basically, you are asking about multi-activity and why and what is the benefit. So first of all, it will be interesting to start with the understanding for the public. When you speak about one activity, it's really easy for the public to understand, because in terms of marketing, it's easy. You speak about one activity, you brand one activity, and it's a kind of one philosophy, let's say. But when you are in a multi-activity, it can be confused, or in the past maybe, because now people want diversity, want different things. They get used of entering and have a huge offer, and multi-activity is not so hard to brand and to market, because the public, when they enter in a leisure facility, they start to understand that it's not one trampoline park with only trampoline, or one climbing, clip and climb center with only climbing. They get used of getting multi-activity. So when you put this first information, which is multi-activity is much easy now to market, is what is the benefit. So let's say for me, the benefit is first financially. When you have a multi-activity, you don't have all the risk in only one. We have lots of competitors now, so I really like the expression, do not put all your eggs in the same basket, ne pas mettre vos œufs dans le même panier. We have the same in French, and that really make easy to understand. If you have different activity, then your public can be interesting in the trampoline, then the climbing, and you have a very wide range of interest people coming in. Second point will be the age range. When we have multi-activity, we can focus on the very little kids, the adolescents, maybe the company with all the activity for company and team building, for young adults, etc., etc. So that is easy to market. Third point, I will say, the activity, each activity have a commercial and usage cycle. Let's explain that. When you have birthday party, if you go in Europe, Southern Europe, you have birthday party from Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday, but more than from Monday to Friday. That lets you having some other activity for the weekend. North of Europe, it's much more for the weekend. So that is a cycle of the activity. For each product, you can have a different cycle, because some products are really easy to use or to be attractive from company, for teams building. For other activity, it's much more for the young people. So it's after 5. When you have a multi-facility center, then you are able to make all that working together and to have a better rentability at the end of the year, because you are working with these different commercial and usage cycle. Of course, you mentioned it, Matt, from your competitor. If you have multi-activity, then it will be much harder for your competitor to come and to compete against you, because now we have the must-have activity. We need to have this activity and that activity. We know all that activity were mandatory, but there's a lot of activity that the people start to want, and so we are not in Europe. We are a bit later in this culture if we compare with the States, but we see that the new trampoline park always have now 5, 6, 10 activities rather than a few years ago only. It was just a huge trampoline park. It was sufficient. Now it's not. So if you compare to if you look at your competitor, you really need to have that. The fifth point, yes, Mathieu, if you have a question.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
The fifth point is to improve your retention rate, because when you have a multi-activity, maybe someone come for the trampoline, but they say, okay, next time I will come with my friends and to do this climbing activity, because that is different, or riverside, of course. So that is very important. Retention rate is really something we measure, and we can measure the benefit of having a multi-activity. The sixth point is to keep your customer longer in your park. Because when you have your customer longer in your park, you have more incomes in your cafeteria. The seventh point and the last point, when you have an existing park, it's easy to refresh with multi-activity because it's not so big to refresh. So for me, that is the seventh point to explain well, that's much more, but that is very briefly, and to explain what are the benefits of having a multi-activity park.
Yeah, I love how you put that, not to put all your eggs in one basket. That relates really well with me and what's happening in the US market. And I think Alfredo is going to be really poised to talk really well about just how FunSpot is different from the rest and how we are best positioned to help our customers, kind of walk our customers through those 7 points that Stefan was mentioning. Alfredo, what's your take on what you're seeing in Spain?
Hey, yeah, thanks, Matt. Yeah, I agree with you guys. And I mean, you know that there are other vendors out there that can offer you a combination of activity, but besides our experience and products and the concept you will be hearing from my colleagues later today, what makes us different is the way we design parks, the unique way we design parks. And by that, I mean that we customize the design, which means you won't see two designs that look alike, really. But apart from that, apart from the space planning and the distribution, there are two things that make us unique from competitors, I think. One is we have our own design team, and the second one is the number of colors. We have more than 12 colors for trampoline beds to choose from, including glow-in-the-dark light colors. These two resources means that we can create your brand, your logo, your graphic copy, your brand from scratch. And we will be using those graphics to brand and theme your park using all the opportunities we will find in your park. As you can see here, for example, this party room, sorry, if we go back one, the party room, the controller of the orbital or the wipeout there, the side elements that covers the structure on the dodgeball courts, for example, those are opportunities that we always use to brand and theme your park. And as you know, branding your park and amazing graphics is important because customers will choose you or will choose your park when they see a nice park, a nice good-looking park. They will choose you over another park to go. So when you see an owner that decorates and take a lot of details, you will be creating a defensive element from competition, right? And well, you know, birthday parties being one of the biggest revenue categories for parks, is proven that parents want to have a party in the park that best represents their family, right? So, I mean, they like to show off, and then afterwards they will share that picture in social media. So that's basically free advertising for your business in a way, right? So that's what we think is important, to have amazing graphics within your park.
Yeah, I know my mom always wanted to take me out to the place with the birthday party that had the nicest facility, the nicest graphics, colors, because I mean, let's face it, she wanted to show off how she loved me and, you know, that I was her baby. So it makes sense, and that's true, I think, across the world. And so those are some really good points and takeaways. Really, our next topic that we're going to move into that I'm excited to hear about is the introduction of climbing into the Olympic Games. I know from experience, my niece was super excited to get into gymnasts after she watched Simone Biles do really well in the Olympic Games into gymnastics. So I'm expecting that to have a similar impact in the climbing world once we have the actual Tokyo Games. Hopefully this year's, from what I hear. And before I introduce Colin and Franz, I'd love to just remind you guys, if you want to put any kind of questions you have in the chat section. That way we'll have something to talk about and answer during our Q&A section. But I'll leave it to Colin and Franz to take it from here to talk about what climbing is going to do for the Olympic Games and how that is going to intersect with Clip and Climb as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. I'll speak first. I'm Colin. Franz will be following up a little later, more specifically talking about the context in Northern Europe and some of the developments that have happened within Clip and Climb. but I'm going to give you a little background as to where climbing has come from to get from climbing mountains in the middle of the Himalayas and the Alps through to becoming an Olympic sport. And this is something that is close to my heart. I've been within the artificial climbing world for 20 plus years, joining Entreprise back in the 1990s, and chartering and being involved in the development of the sport of climbing. But actually climbing started really back in the 1700s, when people started climbing mountains as a challenge. And that, of course, continued right through to kind of the modern day of Himalayan and alpine climbers and all the other big mountain ranges around the world. So climbing mountains was where it all started. And then in about the 1940s, 50s, 60s, people started just climbing rock faces just for the sheer challenge of trying to get from the bottom to the top, but following the cracks or the pockets or the features on the walls. And that became a pastime for the climbing fraternity that enjoyed doing just that outdoors. But what we found in Northern Europe, that the weather in the winter was shit. You couldn't continue climbing on the outdoor crags because it was raining, it was miserable, it was snowing, it was really cold. And climbers wanted to stay fit. And back in the late 60s, a few climbers started developing the idea of let's make something artificial where we can train indoors, where it's dry and clean and warm. And so the very first artificial climbing walls were built, I think, in 1968, 69, simply taking pebbles and rocks and cementing them into normal blockwork and brick walls in different positions. And then the climbers would try and traverse or climb up, just holding on to these elements of rock in the walls. And so that was how it started in the 1960s, and it caught on. And people started looking at that and thinking, well, actually, we can make this more adaptable. And in 1985, a man called Francois Savigny invented the bolt-on hold, and that's the grip that you now see all people on climbing walls. It is a modular thing that is fixed and orientated in different ways to become a handhold or a foothold. And so that's when it started, really. 1985, we had the bolt-on hold. So the bolt-on hold was then getting fixed onto normal walls or wood walls. But the idea developed that maybe we could create something that looked like the surface of the real rocks that we would be climbing on. And as you can see on the photograph on the left here, you can see this was taken in the 1990s when we were really developing artificial climbing walls. The main sort of development really shows how we were trying to replicate natural rock with all the pockets and the tufas and the various features that you would find on natural rock, but making it in an artificial and modular way. And at that time, we were using predominantly polyester resin and glass fiber to make these modular panels that would create these kind of climbing walls you see on the left. And then what started happening, we were starting to see that actually it wasn't just climbers from the outdoor world wanting to use these facilities. It was the general public coming in and just using them as a sport activity rather than a practice for the outdoor world. So now we see that this becomes a sport in its own right. And when that happened, the connection to the real world started moving away, and the focus was really making this indoor activity the activity. And so at that point, we started looking at putting wood panels in place with a very high matrix of fixings to put bolt-on holds in a range of positions. And then that became the current way in which the climbing walls were developed. And that's still the way now. The majority of climbing facilities are actually plywood panels, not rock effect, all set in different ways, as you can see the photograph on the right. And that developed the climbing gyms we now see around the world.
Well, what I love about this, real quick, is that you have an infinite number of possibilities of what you can climb because of how you can change it up, right?
Exactly. So it's not just changing the position, but changing the orientation of them. And actually, there's a whole profession out there of route setters who move between climbing gyms just setting the holes to create different graded routes depending on the difficulty that they want the people to climb on. So that's how it all started, and then through this evolution, we then see that we have three disciplines developing. We have rope-protected climbing, or lead climbing, as you can see in the two photographs here. But also, through the 1990s, the 2000s, we started to see the real interest, both outdoors and indoors, in bouldering. And bouldering is not a rope-protected activity. This is an activity where people are climbing up to a height of maybe 4.5 meters, which is about 16, 17 feet, no, maybe a little less than that. And they are not rope protected, but their protection system is the thick padding at the base of the wall. And so it's a series of what we call boulder problems, a series of moves just to try and move between holes to get to the top, and that's bouldering. So that's one discipline, which is extremely popular now amongst the younger age groups. Then we have the rope protected climbing, and then we have speed climbing. And speed climbing said, right, we're not interested in trying to make this artistic or anything. We're just trying to emulate the 100-meter sprint. We're trying to find a way of getting people down to up, bottom to top, as quick as possible. And so this became a very structured discipline in its own right, which actually is more akin to traditional sports within the Olympics, where it's very easy to see what's happening. It's a race often between two people or one person against the clock. So that was really how the sport of climbing has developed. And that takes us right through to the present day. Right now, we have the very first Olympics that have these full disciplines in public view for the whole of the planet to watch. And so we're going to see bouldering, speed climbing, and rope-protected climbing all in one venue. And these photographs here are the venue. Unfortunately, this venue was all built over a year ago, but because of COVID and all the issues, it's now been dismantled, but will be rebuilt again for the forthcoming Olympics. But this is the facility for the world's, or the first Olympic climbing competitions. Okay, so that's what's happened, and that's the evolution of the sport of climbing rather than the pastime of climbing. Now, back in 2006, there was the introduction of the auto belay, and this has indirectly revolutionized what's happened in the climbing world, because the auto belay has meant that people can climb to height, but not be dependent on somebody else controlling the rope and making their situation safe. For conventional climbing, you need to have two people, you need to have it a very disciplined environment, tying on ropes, controlling everything. But with the auto belay, which is automatically giving the security, suddenly we had a different mode. And here we are introducing clip and climb, which was first developed in Christchurch in New Zealand in 2006. And slowly the idea of making climbing not a sport, but making it a fun pastime developed through the focus on the fun of the activity rather than the tight discipline of the activity. So you can see here, this clip and climb, we're looking at so many different kinds of climbing lines that have different colors, different shapes, different tactile approaches, different levels of difficulty, completely different approaches to conventional sport climbing. The focus is all about having fun. It doesn't matter whether you get to the top or how quickly you get there or which ones you climb, as long as you're having a good time. So at one level, it's a playground. It's a natural stepping stone from soft play. And this has been where the massive explosion has arisen, because we can create these facilities, we can charge people just for the 1 hour of playing in these facilities, and then they can move on to something different. And through this, we've combined what we've seen with the sport of climbing. And now what we're introducing is we're introducing 3 new challenges within clip and climb that emulate what's happening in the Olympics. So introduced later on this year, we're going to have a whole series of clip and climb challenges, which are champions challenges, we're going to have bouldering, speed walls, and lead walls, Olympic style, in clip and climb. There we go. That's
I love it. I love how in the same year, 2006, the introduction of the trampoline park industry was starting in the US, and then quite possibly the furthest away it could be in New Zealand, the industry of fun climbing with clip and climb was being created. So I love that. Hey, Frans, I know we've had some time to spend together in the Netherlands, traveling around and seeing the industry start there. What's your take on the climbing industry, and what are you seeing develop?
Yeah, I'm responsible for the Northern Europe part for FinSpot. My name is Frans, as Matt already introduced me. What you see happening in the north of Europe is that you see a development of large family entertainment centers in which a lot of concepts are going to be combined under one roof. And that can be padel, which is a combination of squash and tennis. It can be electric karting, which is popular. Also hyper bowling, trampoline parks as well, laser gaming, free running, some more urban kind of sports, but also clip and climb fits in really well in the large FECs. And currently I'm working on some projects which are in between 2,000 to up to 12,000 square meters, in which all those concepts are going to be combined. And most of the time you have then also 2 or 3 good food points in which people can relax, have some good food and enjoy the entertainment which is in there. So clip and climb is a unique concept. Climbing is getting more and more popular, of course. What you're looking at right now is a project we did in the north of Holland, which is Leeuwarden. And what we've done there is we integrated regular lead climbing, 52 climbing lines with bouldering facilities, but also with clip and climb. It was the first location in Holland in which we actually made that combination of lead climbing with fun climbing. And we were very surprised by the fact that both worlds worked out together very well. So people coming to the clip and climb also started to go to the bouldering walls, but also to the lead climbing. And also the other way happened, vice versa. People from lead climbing went into the clip and climb facility and started to climb on the fun challenges. Climbing is a difficult sport. It's really challenging. And what's happening now is that if you look at the FECs, a lot of owners, operators are looking into upgrading their parks with new concepts or downsizing their parks just to add new concepts. And a clip and climb is also a very good concept to put in. The one point which might be a problem is the height for clip and climb. The heights are in between 6.4 up to 10.4 meters. So not all buildings are suitable for that. Specifically, if you look at existing buildings, it might be a little bit of a problem. But if you have new builds, you have to take into account that you have to have heights up to 11 or 12 meters just to be able to put in the highest challenges that we have. And when a building is a problem, what's happening in Northern Europe a lot is that a lot of old tennis halls are now being converted, refurbished into family entertainment centers. They usually have a very good height of up to 11 or 12 meters. And then it's very easy to put in a trampoline park together with clip and climb and other concepts. Also, it's very good to implement clip and climb in existing trampoline parks or adventure parks because of the small footprint. If you have 150 or 200 square meters, we can easily build in a very good clip and climb facility, which will give you a benefit of more visitors and more turnover. And also another thing that I can see happening now at the moment is that in Northern Europe, the family entertainment centers are now also being transferred in family active centers. And that means that more regular sports like regular climbing or basketball or tennis or table tennis are also going to be introduced within the family entertainment center itself. So it's a combination of fun climbing with other leisure concepts and then also more regular sports. And that's going on at the moment in Northern Europe, as far as I can see. And in Holland specifically, we have a large development now of very large family entertainment centers of about 10,000 square meters.
Frans, something I've always really enjoyed and loved about clip and climb and even these really professional looking lead climbing walls is just how visually stunning they are. I mean, if you look at these two images, they're beautiful. They're almost like artwork. And what I really like of what CLIMB is doing is they're working to develop new concepts to refresh the walls that you have access to and to make them more customizable for your facility. Can you talk about what's coming from the CLIMB side?
Yeah, what's coming for the CLIMB is the following. We have already now three types of challenges. We have our classic range, which are the normal challenges that we produce. We have a signature range, which are the most eye-catching challenges at the moment, which, for instance, the leap of faith, the stairway to heaven, the vertical drop slides. And we have developed a new range of challenges, which is the Prima range. You can see the pictures here of the Prima range. It includes in total 14 new challenges, in which 5 challenges have a fixed design. And the other ones can be a combination of some visuals, designs with a combination of different kind of holds. So in total, that's 14 new challenges. The difference with the regular type challenges is that the size of the challenges in the width is a little bit smaller. The regular size is 1.8 meters, and these challenges have a width of 1.2 meters. So it's more easy to integrate them within the facility. And you have in a small footprint, you can put in more challenges as with the regular types. Also, it's possible, as you said, Matthew, to develop your own creative designs. You can put in your logos, you can change colors, and you can personalize the challenge to what you want. The heights are similar to what we see with the regular and the classic range, up to 6.4 meters and 10.4 meters. And the panels are all wrapped in vinyl. And that means that it's very easy to change the vinyl. So you can always, on a later stage, create new challenges and leave the bodies there and just change the fronts of the challenge itself. So it's always possible to renew and add the challenges like this. And another important point is that this range of Prima walls is less expensive, it's more friendly in price than our regular and our classic range. So that's also something to take on board. And by implementing the Prima walls, we can provide a clip and climb to any kind of budget that is out there. So it's very easy to implement in existing projects.
Yeah, I personally love the ability to customize these even down the road. If you want to freshen up your park and be able to change up what it looks like or change the holds to something new, whether it's just the color or a different shape, to either make it more challenging or easy, I think is really important as we grow into these multi-activity centers to freshen up the parks. I think that's what it's all about. And the fact that these are a smaller footprint and cheaper will only help existing parks kind of refreshen their park to put in something new later down the road. So I love that you pointed out all those things. I think next up, which segues really well, is we're going to let Gina take over, who is sitting next to Alfredo. Spoiler alert, they are married and both in Spain. So she's going to actually take over from here and really start to talk about the creation process, what it takes to go from start to finish. And she actually comes from an architectural background professionally. So I'm just excited to let her kind of take it from here and tell a little bit about herself and what that process looks like.
Hi, Matt. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I mainly want to talk about the actual design part of my job. First, the most important thing before designing is listening to the needs, the concerns and interests of our owners, of our customers. Second of all, there is the importance of understanding the building, right? I've seen the competitor offer like designs, and I look at them and I say, well, this isn't actually possible in your building. So we want to offer an optimal solution to achieve not just the best look and feel, but to create an organic flow within the facility. That's really important for us. We will study the entire building drawings into detail. We will ask our owner millions of questions until getting a full understanding, because the last thing we want to do is to design something that we later discover that doesn't actually work, or doesn't have the wow effect that we wanted to have. So for that, yeah, that's our main goal, really. And as you mentioned before, yes, I have many years of expertise in architectural design. and project management. We even built together a trampoline park in Argentina, which was very, very exciting. So I can give you advice on creating a space planning layout for your entire center. So it's not just the activity itself, but of the whole entire space, right? Where the party rooms are, the cafe, the seating area. If you already have an architect, I can talk to your architect and we can share ideas. And also we can integrate into your existing park new features, taking into account what already exists and making sure it matches with what we can offer. Okay, so we don't just look at what FunSpot offers, we look at the whole thing as a project. We want it to look good and to match together. So we even talk to vendors and get the vendors to send us their designs to incorporate it in our design so you can see the whole visual of the entire project, right? And if you are creating a new concept from zero and you don't have any experience, we will follow you through the entire process. We will ask you questions you probably don't know the answer to straight away. Our interest is to save you your time and our time, for the process to go as smooth and quickly as possible, as time is money and obviously stress, as we all know. If you have attractions that will be supplied by vendors, as I was saying, we will incorporate them in our design as well.
Well, I like your take on creating this global approach to design, whether it's our products or not, because the reality is that there are so many operational challenges that comes up whenever the park is actually open, right? That need to be taken into consideration in terms of it could be staffing, it could be capacity, how many tickets you can sell, and a lot of that can be affected by how you lay out. So I love how you pointed out, your experience and expertise can help with that process.
Yeah, definitely. And also, when designing, we think ahead and not just on the layout of the attractions. We like to understand how, as you were saying, the operation of how the owner is going to operate the business. Okay, so we will ask questions like, well, yeah, as you were saying, how many tickets are you going to sell? Are you going to sell a ticket per attraction? Where's that going to be? Are you going to have a main counter? Are you going to have separate counters? For us, that's really important at the moment of designing. Or we'll ask you, like, we'll look into the position of the entrance of the courts to minimize the amount of court monitors, because that obviously saves money, it saves wages. So those are things we ask you early on because we're interested in that, as I was saying, as a whole project, because that's really important for when designing as well.
That's perfect. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think, as we move forward towards our vendor section, we've continued to kind of talk about this turnkey solution, and it's kind of difficult to understand that without kind of seeing the full picture that we've talked about. We've kind of mentioned some of our vendor partners. And so really this next couple of minutes, we're going to start to introduce some of the ones that we've partnered with to really bring and open up our portfolio to so many different products and services. These we've strategically partnered with because really all these vendor partners represent the reputation that we want to have with our clients. We value our relationship with our clients so much that we want to make sure we're putting them in the hands of vendor partners that we trust with their support as well. And some of these vendor partners, cover everything from secondary products to point of sale systems to these indoor coasters that I've talked about. So I'm really excited to start to introduce some of those. And the first one I think hopefully we have Jake Walker up on the line to talk about Big Airbag. I personally love Big Airbag. As we go into a post-COVID world where, the perception of jumping into a foam pit was always that a foam pit was kind of gross and nasty. Now that perception is starting to grow even worse now in a post-COVID world. So I think it's important to start to think ahead. And when you're planning out a trampoline park or an adventure park, whether you want to go with foam and if that fits your brand more, or whether you go ahead and switch to a big airbag, or do you go ahead and plan that in advance and have that ready to go when you open. So I'm going to turn it over to Jake so he can talk a little bit more about that and explain the benefits of foam over airbag and what he sees coming up in the industry.
Hi guys, thank you for the introduction, and thanks to Matt and the team at FunSpot for putting on this great event. It's nice to be able to offer such great information, especially in these difficult times. So I'll run through just a small introduction from my side. This is Big Airbag. My name is Jake Walker. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Big Airbag, and I run the office in San Diego in North America and get to work with all the guys at FunSpot, which is really exciting. As you can see, this is the team, young, dynamic, full of energy, and this is a photo of us at our factory based in the Netherlands in Amsterdam. But we also have an office in San Diego and a service point in Grand Rapids, and then obviously partnering up with the FunSpot team. We're worldwide, so we're offering Big Airbag to the Middle East, to Anchorage, in Alaska. We basically do everything in a lot of different kind of segments. So we've got a constant focus on innovation. We've done probably over 2,500 installations worldwide now. And actually we started in 2005. So it's really exciting for us. So that's a bit of an introduction from my side. I think if we go to the next page, should have something exciting. Yeah, this is a project which I hope Matt's smiling about as well. I was really excited about this one. And this is a key photo of basically Spartan Adventure Park, who decided to replace all of their loose foam pits with a foam pit Big Airbag.
Hey,
So,
and very last minute, I should add.
very last minute.
We were in the 11th hour, and we got it to them before they opened, and they were extremely thrilled.
Yeah, so we're really happy with the results, and basically, our foam pit Big Airbag is rapidly becoming the preferred alternative to loose foam pits because it increases hygiene, safety, and throughput. So as some states right now are actually banning loose foam pits completely because of hygiene purposes, this is also happening in areas in France as well. A lot of people are looking to get rid of the toxic foam and the dust, and that's where we come in. So yeah, we've also adapted and invented an antivirals additive that goes into our soft touch like satin material on the top. This is like a dye supplementation process where you can offer any full color design you wish, brand it how you like, and we've got lots of different features to be able to work with you, designers on the FunSpot team or even designers myself. Minimum maintenance required. I'm sure a lot of you know what it's like to maintain a loose foam pit. Some of you may have even found out what it's like to clean a loose foam pit. I don't envy you. I can see Matt already shaking his head. It's a pretty nasty job. I always like to start the conversation with, please tell me what's the worst thing you found in a loose foam pit, and you'd be very, very surprised to hear some of the results. So I think as the emphasis moves forward on hygiene, this is going to be a key part, not only in indoor adventure centers, gymnastics, and the ability to kind of regulate the pressure is going to be really important from a safety standpoint as well. I think one final point, we recognize that a lot of centers have not been open for the last year. We offer very sharp order now, pay later schemes. We can go through FunSpot on that, and basically payment terms up to 24 months to help, facilities who actually can't open until they have a Big Airbag or a hygienic solution to offer. I've just done one in the UK, for instance. They basically fenced off their loose foam pit, couldn't open it at all, and we came in and just replaced the loose foam pit with a Big Airbag. He's extremely happy. The guy, basically called me up and said, "Thank goodness I can never clean my foam pit again." So yeah, it was really good about that.
A toothbrush. That's the strangest thing I've ever heard come from a loose foam pit. So
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, you can be assured that maintenance and cleaning a airbag is much easier than a loose foam pit. To what Jake was saying. So yeah, thanks for that introduction, Jake. Jake's contact details will be made available after the call, and definitely reach out to us or him if you have any more questions. We'd be glad to get that. I see we have a few questions coming in We'll definitely get to those here at the end of the call, and hopefully you have some for Jake that he can answer. Next up, I'm really excited to introduce Activate. Activate,
That's interesting.
having been behind the point of sale system myself and seeing the struggles from the actual client side of it, I knew there had to be a better solution out there. And then really probably the most important part of your point of sale is actually what your customer sees and how easy is it for your customer to interact with your point of sale from online, or maybe it's with a kiosk in store. And really the only turnkey solution out there that's really offering everything from the POS, ticketing, waivers, parties, customer management, employee management, and even food and beverage is Activate. So we've really are excited to partner with Greg, who's going to hopefully take you through and introduce you to a little bit about his software. Greg, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you. I appreciate the introduction as well. That's definitely something that I've heard. The theme throughout the call today has been how important it is to deliver the best customer experience. It's important, obviously, to have the right structure in place behind the scenes, for your staff and everything else. But the customer experience is number one. And so from when we look at our software, we look at it in the order you're seeing right there. Can we deliver the right customer experience for your customers? We want them to be able to have a simple experience, whether it's online buying a ticket before they come in, whether it's in store at a kiosk or at a manned point of sale station. No matter what, we want them to have a great experience from the get-go. And the very first interaction your customers ever have with you is with your point of sale software, especially if you're selling online. It's extremely important to make sure that goes well. The second one's operational excellence and efficiency. It's making sure that when somebody comes through, you can service them as quickly as possible, that things are where you need them to be. And so again, that's our focus, is to try and make it easy, simple, fast solution for your staff and for your customers. And then making sure you have all the right information on the back end through reporting and getting ease of support access, getting access to our team 24/7 to be able to help you out with your park needs. Next slide there. So one more. So again, one of the key things here is, as we look at Activate, you'll see off in the background there with some of our kiosks, the branded kiosks that exist. But the key difference here is an account-based experience. So a lot of times you'll end up with software where your customers come in and maybe you have a separate waiver system from the point of sale, or maybe even the way the point of sale has the waivers get signed creates like a new account every time they sign a waiver. It's just not a very smooth process for the customer. You really want it to be an account first based process. And again, something we deliver very, very well is that customer experience, the online view. I don't really have a time to go through today a demo of the system. There's just not enough time to really do that effectively. So we're just wanting to touch on the highlights here. But if you do go to the next page, just a couple of key points here to look at. So as you look at like what that really means, when you start looking at how we deliver that efficiency, the time, the clicks, and the pages are usually the things we look at from a software perspective. That gets a little bit into the nitty gritty, not really a demo of what it is, but looking at like the side-by-side comparison of why would I do one versus the other. It's amazing how quickly people will, if they get into a process and they don't like it or it feels clunky, they'll just go away and they won't purchase at that time. So online ticket purchase, the amount of time it takes to purchase a ticket compared to our competitors, a drop of about 60%. Clicks and pages actually help you understand how easy something is. So if it's easy, the number of clicks and the number of pages will go down with that ease of use. So again, a drop at about 40% in clicks and pages. Birthday party check-in, so at the front they get there, how quickly can you get them through the door? It's about 25% faster. And again, for your staff, how easy is it? So about a 33%, 43% reduction in clicks and pages. And then your standard ticket check-in. So how well can I get just the normal tickets through the door? Again, drop in time, about a 2/3 drop in time and a 50% or more drop in clicks and pages. So how easy it is to get somebody through the door. saves thousands of dollars a year, hundreds of hours, or thousands of hours in line. It's a huge improvement over the other systems out there. And as was mentioned earlier, really the only one that was designed for trampoline parks, for adventure parks, that gives you the entire solution, everything you need from beginning to end. So it's something we're really excited to be partnered up with FunSpot on, to be able to deliver to their customers.
And Greg, I'm going to defend you a little bit. Yes, this page is definitely the nitty gritty of the details on how much faster it makes it, but that's everything right there, what you just pointed out. And I've personally been able to see that demo of that side-to-side comparison of what it's like to go from, honestly, who would be identified as one of the other leaders in this industry to your system. And it's night and day. And that is everything to me, just as a millennial who's using my phone. And that's only going to become even more important as this generation visiting trampoline parks starts to grow older, starts to have kids of their own. So like, that is seriously everything. When he says it saves hours of time and thousands of dollars, he's absolutely right. And if I could encourage you to do anything with Greg, is to do a full demo and be able to save it. But I don't want to miss this slide either, because this is super cool. Yeah, you can't not touch on this, because you've got the kiosk facial recognition, which are the two features that I really like. So why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, so we've got the full service kiosk, so you can walk up and interact and basically do your entire purchase process through the kiosk. But not only that, built into the kiosk, as well as many other places in the system, we have facial recognition built in. So the ability to check in just by using your face, you can walk up to a kiosk and have it look at your face and say, oh, I know that's you, and let you check into your account and buy things. In addition to that, spending allowances. So we actually have the ability to have parents, when they store a card on file, to add a spending allowance for their kids. So they can get, $5, $10 a day to go and spend in the park without needing mom or dad there, without needing a credit card, without needing to bring cash with them. You talk about foam pits. That was, just the prior conversation, going to airbags. How many kids lose their money in the foam pit, or potentially even, off to the side in an airbag somewhere, or just, going through the ninja course and something drops out and they're out searching for, the 2 quarters or whatever they were in their pocket. Spending allowance lets everything go electronic, lets parents ahead of time give the kid that money. And the best thing is once the parents allow the kids to have that money, the kids are going to spend it. And so it's a way to significantly drive the value of what your food and beverage area is bringing to your park. Customer texting, tableside check-in. So the texting side, somebody signs up for a membership, or we send them a text message to then add an spending allowance for their kids. So that it's like, hey, you just signed up for this. You just added a card to your account. So we've got a recurve bill back card. Do you want to add a spending allowance while you're at it? And so we can do things like that where we trigger them with text messages. They forgot their login and they're at a kiosk and they don't want to use facial recognition, so they can send themselves a text message for recovery. All sorts of fun things like that. And then tableside check-in. I've talked to parks where they feel like night and day difference on a birthday party if you're checking them in at the front versus the tableside. It's just an experience for the parents that's just a high level of touch, that they don't feel like they're checking in with 100 other people at the same time. They're ushered back to a private room, checked in there. It's kind of like, I know when it flies, you go international or you do anything like that, and you go to like the airline club, and the experience you get in an airline club is way different than the experience with everybody else out front. And that's tableside check-in for a birthday party. It just feels different to the parents and to the invited parents that come. They're like, oh wow, that was kind of cool. We got to skip all the lines. So it's something they can use to kind of show off when you have that in your park, and the capability with what we offer. That's awesome. I swear we haven't planned this, but everybody's touched on customer experience. So if that isn't something that you guys have picked up on, just realize that is a reoccurring theme of something you should consider going into your parks. Well, next, I really want to talk about really some of the new fun things coming to adventure parks. Like, let's talk about the games, right? Let's talk about Valo. I think we have hopefully Sven on the line. I think I've seen him in the chat list. I'm not sure if anybody else is joining them from Valo, but they've got really, like the slide says, the future of sports and games. So I'm excited to hear from you guys to see what you guys have to offer.
Yep, that's me. I'm going to present. It's over here.
Hey, good to see
Matt.
you.
Good to see you too. we are working with FunSpot for a couple of years now. I guess most people know we have great collaboration, I think mainly because we are starting our journey from the very beginning of the park design. Sometimes in the past we had to get into existing parks, and that's what a different ball game. But today, most parks we can get from the beginning, and we can help, like Gina said, think about the solutions they need today and think about the solutions that they will need in the future. And for us, that's a big and important step to work with a partner like FunSpot, definitely growing together into that sport, entertainment, and full park offering. Okay, but you can move to the next slide. I think most people know a lot about ValoMotion. What I would like to talk today is the next slide gives some information, but I would like to talk about the elephant in the room. And I don't mean Corona, because Corona will probably sooner or later not going to be with us. What we're going to end up with is the big elephant, and this is the fact that our industry, the FEC industry, is just a fraction. We are about, give and take, $1 billion industry per year, while the big industry of gaming, online and computer and console gaming are about 200 times than what we do, showing even 20% growth last year. So what we are doing in ValoMotion, and we did it from day one, I don't know if anybody knows, but we are a gaming company. We happen to do it in a physical environment like amusement parks, activity centers, but we are developing games with the thinking of a pure computer gaming. We've been around for a couple of years now. It's been an amazing journey. The growth has been really, I don't think it's similar to anything else in the industry. And I think we've got onto something which is very interesting. Most park owners today, when you ask them about who is their competitor, will think about the park next door or another big amusement center in their town. Well, their biggest competitor is how to bring kids to play and how to convince parents that what you're offering is safe and fun and rewarding, at least or closer to what the online gaming or the big video gaming will offer them. And in a way, what we found that Valo can and do offer this link between the industry of gaming and the industry of FECs. Okay, if you can move to the next slide after the picture, what we see mainly is the value of repeatability. A good business, everybody knows in our industry, is not about bringing the people once, it's about bringing more than average. If they're coming twice or 3 times a year, an average, if we can make them come back 4 or 5 times, we've got a completely different business, because the business expenses are quite, in a way, fixed. The income is what you can change, and the income is from bringing people more time. And what we are looking at in our system is to build a platform that enables the repeatability and the interest of people to come back to see the new games, to complete what they did before and didn't have time. And it's really proven itself in last year. Many places were closed. Still, ValoMotion usage of system in June 2020, after 6 months of, or at least 3 months of heavy lockdown around the world, the usage in our system was similar to the year before. And that's, I think, shows how much it's being used and how much is big part of the parks today. If you can go to the last slide, just to talk a bit about what is the future as we see it. 2021 is a big year for us. We launched a new product generation 2.0. After 4 years with the same generation, we moved to a new generation of product with new hardware, thinking about the next 5 to 7 years. So we are developed a system that we can be sure that the games we're going to develop in 5 years are going to fit and going to work well and going to give the highest level of interaction and gaming experience, or what we call play value, to kids in the future. And predicting the future is not easy. The best way to predict the future, so people say, is to create it. And that's why we feel we're doing it in Valo. Another big point, what we're looking into is the community, player community. The same as in online gaming, the community showed amazing results. And we started with community gaming, which could be local, network, and global competition with prices last month. And we really find this will be the big point for the next year and the coming years, where people can do competition with a digital platform, engaging a lot of marketing, and of course, play value. We're happy to collaborate with FunSpot and continue our journey together. And thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks, Eldad. So 2 things that really stood out to me was how friendly this game is, even in a post-COVID world, and how many people are playing it. And I haven't told you this, but one of my favorite emails comes from you guys when it announces a new game, because that gets me excited to want to go back into the local park here and go play it and try it out for myself. And so with the new marketing tools that you guys are offering for the end users of both the parks and the guests that are playing to be able to learn about new games, I think is going to be huge to get that repetition that you talked about. So I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking about what's coming up for Valo. Next up, we've got, so, there's no shortage of VR solutions out there, and definitely lots to pick and from. So, as we were trying to wade through everything and figure out the right partner to team up with, we really, identified VR Studios to be the leader in this industry, hands down, with what they're doing with some of the wireless headsets and the games that they are designing for it, the interactive games. And so to really better introduce that, I want to introduce Yoni, who's going to talk a little bit about VR Studios and what's to come in 2021.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Matthew, and nice to see you, Eldad and Scott. There are a lot of new faces here. I hope I get to meet you someday. I'm assuming my microphone is working okay. Yes, I see the green lights. Good. I just want to pick up where Eldad left off, because it really is the key issue. I'm going to switch out my presentation a little bit, because I think that is truly the theme to discuss, and it really contextualizes what VR Studio Sports is about. And the fact that we're also looking at a consumer gaming market of over $180 billion a year that's been growing at 20 to 30% a year. So the biggest competition to family entertainment is really, how do we integrate, and we talk about consumer experience and the user experience and loyalty and retention in terms of the amusement venue choices that they make. So before I go into that, a little bit about VR Studios, just so we know, we've been around for about 6 years. We like to say that we're relied and trusted by the industry giants like Cineplex and Dave & Buster's. We deliver technology, VR technology and experiences that are integrated VR attractions that are built expressly for the Family Entertainment Center enterprise. Also, just a little bit of stats, we've clocked millions and millions of players in our attractions worldwide, which I think is important to note. And again, what we're looking at now is, how do we deliver esports in virtual reality? And I'll talk a little bit about what that means. So basically, VR Studio Sports is a platform mashup of real sports, competitive gaming, and virtual reality. And it's interesting, I want to point to Eldad a second, because the way Eldad is bringing, Valo is bringing digital experience into the physical, it's mapped into the physical environment, and we're kind of going the other way, but it's very compatible in the sense that we're bringing digital experience, a physical experience, into the digital virtual environment. And because of that, we get to benefit, we go to this, thank you, next slide, to really understanding what is the platform that allows us to create, to make the Family Entertainment Center a destination for competition and tournaments. How do we do that? So how do we take what we learned from esports and break it into its components and remap it and apply it inside of this context? So let me talk to that a little bit. I just need to map my slide to your slide. So really what we're trying to do here is tap into the competitive fire of your customers in order to increase retention and frequency of visits, of course, which translates into return on investment. We believe that esports holds the key to this. So in order to have a platform to capture what we're calling sort of the athlete journey, we have to have a player. The player has to have a portable player profile. It needs to be persistent between home play and FEC play. You need to be able to track scores and stats and be able to create tournaments and awards. You need to have a great game, which is compelling and physical and mimics real sports. And then you need to have a place, the court. So when we talk about the VIA Studio Sports platform, we're talking about three components. Who is the player? What is their identity? What are their stats? And so on. What game are they playing? In our case, we're leading now with a virtual basketball game, which I'll talk to in a second, which we call Hoops Madness. And then the place, which is the court. And for us, the court has now become an interesting thing because we have integrated VR systems that we can install, that the front spot can install at the location and design into the park. But we also have versions of the game now that the player can play at home in order to practice and build the skill. And I think this is a really important idea here in terms of understanding what is the esport journey. And the esport journey mimics the sport journey in the sense that I can have a hoops in my driveway and I'm doing casual play. And from there, I go into organized play where I get together with my friends at a public facility or a place to play. And then all the way to, organized play that's given to me by either in the United States, by church leagues, youth centers, high schools, and all the way to college. The journey of the athlete from casual to pro is what we're looking at, from the place where I'm just building skills, moving through my skill set, building team, etc., to being awarded for my skills. The platform is designed to handle that in the sense that the player is tracking their evolution, and further allows you allows the operator to create branded tournaments at the location or in the franchise. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're leading with Hoops Madness, and Hoops Madness is seriously just an awesome physics, action-packed simulation of basketball.
It's also addicting too. I don't miss that.
Well, here's the thing. That's just it. It's like, it's not really reinventing the wheel. What we're looking at is what is the broad appeal of something people like to do. It gets them moving. They don't need to learn the game. They know how to play it the minute you're in there, right? We create a whole bunch of replayability with different shootout configurations. I was listening earlier to Colin thinking about the movable panels and how you can get a lot of usability from that. And that, those concepts are very common in game design in the sense that our courts are different, skills, the game may ask you for different skill sets at different times, which means you get a tremendous amount of replayability. And yes, it's highly addicting.
Mm-hmm.
Again, so to reemphasize the notion of the athlete journey over here, Hoops Madness is really designed to allow you to create casual play and then get into sort of organized play, and from organized play to pro play, all on the same platform. It's always funny to talk about games because you can't share it directly in a presentation like this, but I'm happy to send you videos or talk with Scott or Matthew, and we'll send you materials. You can, dive deeper into this. You can also actually, if you do have any kind of VR headset, you can get it right now on Steam and Viveport and on Oculus for Quest, etc. And just to emphasize that a second, how should I put this? Many operators were saying that I've spoken with said, well, why would someone come and play this in my facility if they can play it at home? And so that's kind of my elephant in the room. But I want you to think about the notion of like the feeling of actually practicing basketball at home with your friends and then going to the stadium or going to the local place to play it. And so the one thing that an amusement venue, an adventure park, an action park, trampoline park can deliver is the social excitement and gathering of being face to face. That is a technology that could never be beaten. So instead of like, in a sense, trying to always deliver something new, what we're doing here is training our players at home to come in and enjoy the competition at your place. That's the notion. Next slide. Over here, I'm just re-emphasizing the notion of like the dream of be the champ at home and FEC. The platform now comes with a new piece of software we've added to our attraction management platform we call Scorecard, which gives you, as I mentioned, the ability to create the player, which you can track your tracks, track your scores, your stats, and your ranking, create leagues and join teams. The leading game we're releasing with is Hoops Madness, and there are more slotted games like football and other thematic sports coming. Okay, let's move into the hardware for a second because this is important. So when we say court, if you recall when I mentioned the player, the game, the location. So for us, the location, of course, is the space that we're being designed into, and then the integrated system. So we have three types of systems that are on the market. There's the Atom. If we can go to that slide, it would be great. I'm particularly excited about the Atom. We did a lot of work this year redesigning it and reconfiguring it with the FunSpot team to actually be an ideal solution, particularly in the physical location, in the action park, trampoline park. So the Atom is a system that comes in modules of 10 by 10 components. Each one holds 2 players. It is always wireless, which allows for full motion, free roam action. You can jump, you can twist, you can dodge, you can duck, and you can connect them. So it goes from 10 by 10 feet all the way up to like, you can do a 20 by 20 or up to 4 modules. So it's 1 to 8 players. It's a fully integrated system, completely brandable. You know, we spoke about colors, we talked about design, we can change it all up. We can make it fit in in the space perfectly. And it's controlled by our attraction management platform, which allows you to, from a touchscreen interface, launch games, log in players, etc. And it's compatible with Scorecard, which I just mentioned.
And Yoni, you've got a free roam and a single unit set up, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so let's go into that. So let's go into the Flex, please. All right, the Flex is a really, really interesting system. So this is a totally free roam system, arena scale, meaning that it can expand up to around 40 by 40 feet, or I think that would be 20 meters by 20 meters or so plus. This is a backpack-based system. I would consider this, the backpack and the headset, like sports gear. You're looking at a picture here of a deployment of the Flex in Volley Dome, which is a volleyball and basketball amusement venue in Canada. And it's just an ideal picture because they just roll it out, they put out the sensors, they turn on the power, everybody puts on their backpacks and they jump in and play. So it doesn't require any crazy infrastructure around it, any large installation. We like to make the notion that you just boot up, suit up, and play. And it allows you variable playing times and variable usage of the space. And this is really powerful from the standpoint of repurposing underutilized space. So if you've got like meeting rooms, you've got party rooms that are multi-use, this is something you can roll in and run a tournament in. This is something you can roll in and be rented. This is something that you can adapt to the use case of how you operate your space.
I love how flexible your different options can be and modular. I think that's kind of the key word here, depending on what you have. And then you've got a single unit you're working on for Q2 of 2021. Is that right?
That's correct. So this is you might be some of the first people seeing this. This is the Fury, and this is meant to be a wireless, again, inside out system. It's for one to 6 players, and it's modular. This actually comes with built-in with UVC technology that we're collaborating with CleanBox for cleaning all the gear between plays. So there's an added level of hygiene efficiency. Sorry?
Oh, I was just trying to queue up the next slide real quick.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Am I taking a long time?
No, I just wanted to make sure people could see the Fury. We were talking about it. We just couldn't see it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. What's amazing about this system is that it requires very, very little installation. It basically snaps together in like an hour or two. It goes from 1 module to 6 modules. It's very competitively priced. It requires it's self-serve, what we call self-serve or self-attended, meaning you just come up to it, you register. it is built around the scorecard functionality I mentioned, and it serves up hoops right now. It only plays hoops. So you come into it, you register, you become a virtual basketball player, you can practice, or you can join other games with other people. That's for the consumer, but from the operator standpoint, you can put these out and then run a tournament, and now you're doing a VR tournament with awards and so on, running it weekly or monthly. And that can be a separate conversation, because running leagues is a whole different idea. I think some of you may be familiar with already, but we can talk about how you do that as well, of course. Yeah, so the Fury will be available for design and installation and so on sometime in Q2 of this year.
Yeah, I think self-serve is music to everybody's ear, especially an operator. Yeah. And so I love that functionality. And the fact that it's such a small footprint. I mean, a lot of our customers are desperate for something that'll fit into a small space, and I think that's a perfect option. And now on this screen, I see here, just the amount of games that you guys have and the ones that you're continuing to develop, and they're like licensed through like Cartoon Network, if I understand that right. How does that work? Yeah,
so that was a little bit of focus on sports, which I think is particular thing in the trampoline market, the amusement market there, because it fits the consumer activity there. However, we still have the largest selection of VR content that was purpose and expressly built for family entertainment centers. So what that means is that games are designed to be 5 to 7 minutes long. They're designed to be extremely replayable, very fun, easy to use. It's very different to design a game for a location-based entertainment versus designing a game for home, meaning in terms of how you want to get someone in there, how fast they feel like they're getting rewarded, etc. So these are all, we have over 10 titles available in our library that we've created, and now we've added exclusive content from Cartoon Network, which is really exciting, which are obviously well-known children's brands like We Were Bear Food Truck Rush and Just to Impress and Ben 10, as well as a new title from Secret Locations, which was recently bought by Hasbro, in fact. And this is another fast kind of arcade shoot 'em up called Blasters of the Universe. So when VR Studios installs any of this gear, or when FunSpot, installs any of this gear, you actually get access not only to the full VR Studio Sports platform, which is our new effort, you get access to our entire amazing content library as well.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. Thanks for really giving us a breakdown on those things. And I know that was a lot of information for everybody.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, wow.
it's content heavy, but it's a lot of rich things, and I think VR is the way to go. So we'll make sure all that information is available to everybody after this is over. Next up is Samurai, who I'm always extremely excited to introduce. Me and Anthony and that team there have always had a really great relationship, and I think this is one of the most underutilized kind of functions of an adventure park. The ability to put promotional branding material in your client's hands to take home with them is one of the most crucial parts. I mean, everybody sort of has picked up on this idea of, hey, socks are great because they're for safety, hygiene, you make a little bit of money, but there's so many opportunities I think people are missing out on. And Anthony, I want you to basically point that out and kind of tell us what you would do if it was your own park.
Yeah, look, thanks, Matt. Thanks for getting me around the table here. I think as I hear a few of the conversations that have been going on today, I think there's it's not part of what I'm presenting here, but as a general rule, I think there's a lot of value in that. We have hundreds of clients that we work with within the group, the entities in and around what you offer us, Matt, within FunSpot, but globally, that people can provide almost like a capsular overview upon the services that we all offer that can aid, I think, everybody in giving the intro into these great things that people have in the pipeline, great things that people are offering, the value added into this whole ecosystem that you're putting together, because, often people don't want what we're offering, but there's value in obviously giving people that introduction into the services that are relevant to their needs, whether that's a new build or just updating facilities themselves. So that's a general picture to me. But for me, look, there's our product that we produce. There is
a lot of value in think of the operator and generating revenue. A lot of these things that are out here, look, how you plan your park, what you put inside the park, you need to generate revenue from those particular facilities, those particular infrastructure you're putting in. Now, our product does that, period. Now, whether you're putting in place, which is the essential thing, which is the socks, there is a revenue stream that shouldn't be ignored from that. And getting the product right, using our services to be able to keep it streamlined, keep it evolving, bringing guest products throughout the year. Just like anything in life, if you keep anything fresh, it encourages the consumer to either come back, use the facility, or be sort of happy with what they're going away with. People ignore that as well. The sock is it's a revenue stream, but it's a marketing tool. When you get that person that goes away and goes back home and then goes to a local soccer field or swimming pool or whatever it is and takes a party bag or wears the socks with other consumers, kids around that are going around the house, it markets those venues. And that shouldn't be lost. The digital world is very important, but something tangible. I've got an 8-year-old son, and that is all he wears is his socks. And he sees other friends that are coming in with other facilities, socks on, and he wants to go to those venues. It is paramount that they get that right. We work plans and things like this all together to aid that process of evolving that. And that comes into effect of a lot of the things as well. Things like here, you can see some pictures of some party packs, swag, and a lot of these things that we call the gifting areas. When people are trying to develop that party pack sale, these are incremental things that are so important. Really, really important. Often they're lost. They don't set them up in the right sort of specs, pricing to make it affordable. They don't evolve it. They don't adapt it. That's what we bring to the table. And, we use the word cross-pollinate. So much of the ideas that we get out there, well, what some of our customers are doing, other people are doing in other industries. We've been doing this 17 years, a long time in producing product beyond the world of entertainment sectors. It's using our knowledge, our infrastructure that can seriously help customers get a springboard in that particular area.
Well, I think we forget what it's like to be a kid, because this was all those things you showed on that screen was what created brand loyalty between me as a kid and the Chuck E. Cheese I went to, or enter whatever family entertainment center back in the day, right? I mean, I remember troves of boxes of collecting random knickknacks, but those were the places that I enjoyed visiting the most. And so in a kid's mind, I think those are the items that need to be in place at your park that are so crucial to creating that brand loyalty.
You're right, Matt. Spin it back to Velo, what you were just saying about the gaming, the gamification of these things. Look, we work outside of the family entertainment sector. We work with gaming companies. We supply product, material that the end child that wants to play that game, he wants to get something of value that rewards a certain level. Now, going into a venue that they then can achieve that, it brings that, there's a value to people coming to these actual centers, something tangible. They want to go away with something. They want to spend those dollars, those euros, those pounds. Parents give them the opportunity to do that, to come back, to reward them for climbing that wall, to get to a certain level. That is what children like, or people like, adults like it. We all like being rewarded for an achievement. That's a lost area that a lot of people lose sight on. And it's revenue stream, but that retention, returning back to compete for that next level, those are things that are important. And that's something we've got to evolve together to work with the partners that are out there to get that across to operators, get that across to people out there in the world, to be able to, get that message in place. You can see here, this is something we've jumped into, sort of the area where we're active. We're global. We supply Australia, South America, Latin America, all of North America, Canada, throughout Europe, some African countries, everywhere in Europe, even Russia. It's everywhere we touch. And that is something, a premise from this as well. Look, we all have got great reach. That reach, I think, could be coordinated a little bit more. So we can always benefiting in that sort of service that we're offering to everybody.
I love this graphic because it shows your global presence and your ability to service anywhere in the world, which is really important to our customers in the U.S. and then obviously yours over in Europe. I'm wondering if we could go forward to the slides where it talks about your socks, your quality of socks, because that's something that I've always really loved about yours. Is like, it's not uncommon to know that there are other places you can get socks, but we've never come across a better branded sock and a better design sock and a quality sock, and having your guests wear something that looks good and feels good and lasts long. So can you talk a little bit about that? I think it's on the next slide we have.
Yep.
That goes over that.
Yeah, if you could punch forward, I think it's one more there. Look, we've started in the sock world when we were manufacturing some unique socks for Nike. There you go. So it was in the short program that we did for them years ago now, but our ability to coordinate what clients want generally, but in the sock world, we've got partners where our partner factories, we produce probably 15+ million socks a year at the moment. So we know what we're doing, but we continually try to evolve that in producing a sock that delivers on performance, delivers on the attributes you need when you're active in those parks, that's creative, that's on brand, that the kids see, vibrant colors. We introduce things that are geared around whether it's UV related, so they glow in the dark in some situations. There's neon threads. But the blend of all of that to make it, what's on there, affordable. So the actual operator can purchase a product, make revenue from it. It flows down that pipeline where they get a return. The end consumer gets a product they really like. They want to wear beyond the visit to the actual venue. That's the value. And our cycle, what we do, going back that screen when I showed you the locations where we're at, we have companies, locations, offices, warehouses in those areas to be able to deliver that product from design, manufacture to that destination, wherever it is, with no hassle, no issues with duties and involving customs and things like that. That's our issue. We've been doing it a long time. Let us take that burden and resolve it for you. So that's one key thing. Look, there's something very relevant. I think it's in the next slide, where obviously the world of COVID, we've had this in place for a while. The antibacterial sort of properties we've added in, we've heard it talked about the big airbag there, about the features you can add to this to give customer satisfaction, that you're trying to go that extra yard to provide that layer, that coating against what could well aid that transition of this particular bacteria. But we put this in place, and it reduces things like odors as well as the bacterial qualities of spreading harmful germs. But it's something, I think, that's reassurance that an operator, if they put this in place, they're trying to put that extra effort forward, encouraging people to come into a venue and making sure the other sort of policies they put in place in conjunction with that are aiding in the whole sort of business model that they put in place.
Yeah, no doubt. And on the next slide, it shows an example of some generic socks, and you've always come to the aid of all of our customers when they've been in need. And that's kind of the benefit of working with you. You have access to that inventory as well.
You've got it. And that is, look, in today's climate, let's not ignore it. It's the world where we've got, and I put a note down here, it's about us listening to our customers, understanding a bit more. We all know it's a challenging time for a lot of businesses. It's a challenging time for that consumer that's out there, but for the businesses, that they need to know that we warehouse this generic sock and a few other different adaptations upon it in our Atlanta warehouse, in a warehouse in the UK. We've got a warehouse that's in Rotterdam. We've got a warehouse in France. We've got some stock in our Mexican warehouse as well. So there's an ability to be able to service this product fast, quick, 2-day, 1-day service, depending on where they are. But what it is, there's a lot of people that want to put the capital outlay out there for a custom sock at the moment for, their cash flow purposes. They can feed from this until they feel comfortable. When business, they see an upturn in that cycle, then they start to then evolve and move into a custom sock. Custom socks are the way beyond this, because it's your brand. People buy into that brand, and that's what people have got to be using. That marketing tool is essential, but as a stopgap for custom sock clients to fill in, or clients that sit in that lower level, to have this product is is essential. But you know, there's not a finite amount of stock that sits in those warehouses. So we've got to there's got to be a balance, but it's a core part of what we offer to clients.
Yeah, love it, love it. Let's leave it on this last slide while I introduce our next vendor. This just kind of gives you the view of everything that you have. I mean, this is treasure to a kid who's looking to come back to your park. So don't miss out an opportunity to reach out to Anthony to talk to him about the solutions that he can offer to your location. And we'll be sure to get him all your contact information so you can reach out. Next up, I couldn't be more excited to introduce my friends at Rugged Interactive. I think we've got Harry. Harry, are you growing out a beard? Is that a COVID beard, or is that just
forgetting to shave, Matt? Forgetting to shave.
Awesome. Well, I really love Rugged and what they're doing to innovate. They've got some really exciting new products that harp on this another reoccurring trend of gamification. So I'm excited for them to talk about that and what's new for 2021.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, we've been very, very busy in 2020, and I just want to give you a quick overview of, for those who don't know us, a little bit, very briefly, about Rugged, and explain how we can help leisure operators be more successful, but in particular show you a few of the new features that we've developed. It has been a busy 2020 for us, and so it's pretty exciting. So we are a small British company who launched about 10 years ago, and we cover these different sectors, but the main focus of these sectors is indoor adventure. That's where a lot of our energy is gone. It's interesting listening to some really interesting product information from both Eldad and Yoni about AR and VR, and I totally see how exciting those products are, but where we come from is the other side of the coin. And you know, there's virtual reality and augmented reality, and no question they have their place, but we are big fans, and we always will be, of what we call rugged reality. We think there is really no real substitute for physical engagement. Kids, young people, adults, you know, climbing a real wall, shooting a real goal in soccer, bouncing on a trampoline and hitting real lights. It's always going to be, we think, more rewarding, 10 times more rewarding than doing it virtually. And we make no bones about that, really. If you could move on to the next slide. So indoor adventure has been where a lot of our energy has been over the last 4 or 5 years, and we've certainly been well recognized as being probably the most innovative player in this field. We're really clear what makes a difference in these environments, and it is the combination of the physical challenge and the mental stimulation. That builds what we call excitement and joy, and it makes people want to come again, and obviously that has massive benefits for the operator and driving more revenue. But for us, it's all about, as Matt mentioned earlier, gamification. In fact, even Anthony mentioned it. Gamification is the secret, and that's what we specialize in. If you see on the next slide, the products that we have developed in this area, apologies to the people who know this already, but they cover a range from reaction games and climbing features to products that involve throwing or firing things at targets, timer systems and interactive timer systems, and even at the other end of the scale, capitalizing and gamifying on kids' love of selfies. Consistently, we find the feedback we get is that our products are the most popular products in the park, or amongst the most popular products in the park. They're always popular, and they get people coming back again and again. If you could move on, next one. So that's a quick bit about our background, where we've come from. By the way, I should have added that our products are now in many hundreds of parks around the world, in over 50 countries. So you know, we have developed this this portfolio from live experience, I guess. The the theme that about multi-activity centres is a really strong one. We're hearing it from all of our customers, and it's all about, we understand now that the challenge is providing a great variety. Customers want to see variety. Variety brings people coming back again. We think that our customers, the visitors to your parks, they want different types of challenges. You also need challenges for different age groups. That's really, really important. What happens at 6 o'clock in the evening when the young kids go home? Have you got something that will bring in the older adults? And do you have products or options for different budgets and different size of spaces? And what I'm going to show you now is a few examples of what we've developed over the last year and a half that give you a huge range of possibilities from budget, age range, type of challenge, and the space you have available. If you go to the next one. So the first and the major thing that we have launched very recently is Freedom Gaming, and this is hugely exciting for us. It's what we're calling, I guess, a team challenge arena. This is a product that will appeal to both to adults and to kids. It really takes the original concept of soft play and makes it. Well, it's a great way to make it more exciting. So we've added really quite straightforward colored light technology into kind of climbing arenas like this. Simply the challenge is, it's a team challenge. Freedom Gaming is a team challenge. You're probably aware of RFID solutions which track individuals. We've deliberately gone simple. We think that getting away from the high tech, the kids love playing it, being part of a team, and operators need super simple. So this challenge is a multicolored team challenge. You split the group up into teams, and each one chases a color, and they whack out lights as they maraud and race and scream their way around the arena.
Well, and what I want to stop here and point out is, as we kind of go through the next slide or two, is that these are built in collaboration with us and the client. This is really a joint effort between both Rugged, FunSpot, and the client to really develop in terms of what their budget is and what space they have and what activities they want to put in. We'll build the attraction, we'll install the lights, all that gamification is coming from you guys to develop something into something as cool as what you could see here if you want. And on the next slide, I think you get a couple of closer views of what that looks like.
Yeah, that's right. So that's an example of how, if you've got a confined space, it can be designed to have the various different features interlocking and carefully kind of snugly fitting with each other. You've still got a lot of features in that area, but you can have them in a much smaller space. You know, a modest sized Freedom Gaming arena that FunSpot can design could be fitted into a former dodgeball court, for example. But on the other hand, if you've got a bigger space, then you can separate it out, as the next slide shows. Next slide, please. Yeah, there we go. So this is a modest size one. This is the first one that was launched in Germany in October, 3 days before Germany locked down. So as a lot of this market, you know, the challenge a lot of us are facing is not having any of the latest real photos and live footage because all these places are closed. But this is the first one. This has got 30 sensors, but we can do systems of anything up to 120 sensors spread around. And as Matt says, the challenge is, or the opportunity is, for FunSpot to get creative. Whoops. Could you go back? There we go. Yep. You know, your creativity is the opportunity to create a custom solution using our technology.
What I like this is for every age too. On the next slide, next two slides, you've got some junior, sort of junior ninja type solutions that you could do. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so obviously the Freedom Gaming is a full arena system, but that's not going to be for everybody, and certainly not for people who want to either on a tight budget now or have space limitations or just want a simple upgrade. So both of those two images, the slide before this and this one, are options for creating a really fun, sort of dynamic, high energy environment with actually pretty simple technology and really affordable technology. So this one okay, that one, I'll talk about this one quickly. So this is a 2-lane raceway. It's got a start and stop and a timer, but as you race through the obstacle against your opponent, you have to hit out the lights. If you miss the lights, your score isn't as good. What's really fun about this is you get to the end, the winner gets to put their name on a leaderboard, and we all know how people love to have their name up in lights. So so that's a nice challenge. And but the idea here would be make it short, make it fast, get 30-40 seconds, then next guy goes, next kids go, really high turnover, and you'll get the kids finishing, gasping for breath and running back to go again. So that's a 2-lane challenge, whereas the next one is a really nice way of making maybe an existing kind of ninja area more exciting by putting in lights where the kids have to put the climb up the physical challenges to get to their lights. But this is a group activity and therefore works super well with birthday parties, for example. You could have a whole birthday party group told, right, you've got 2 minutes, guys, see how many points you can score. And with those lights would light up one color and then they'd gradually change. So if they're fast, they get more points. And this is very versatile. You can put that into any sort of climbing oriented environment, but certainly it works well as an upgrade to an existing ninja, or just to add a nice sort of birthday party feature for it.
Yeah, super cool. And then the next couple products that you have coming up are target related. You've got Power Play, like an interactive sports arena where you can do football, as you call it, soccer, as I call it.
Yeah, football, Matt, football. Absolutely. Everywhere that we've seen these put in, they have been super popular because kids love sport. And I think in the multi-activity centre, there is a need for an area that is pure sport. Boys, girls, adults, kids with their parents, everybody loves kicking a soccer ball. And you can just about tell from that picture there that the floor base is an air track floor. So it's an inflated floor, which gives a lot of bouncy support, but it also means that if you flip to the next slide, we get a slightly different view of the same thing. You can see that also means this soccer court doubles as a multi-activity area where you could have fitness workouts, you could have sort of a toddler time, put some soft shapes in there. It's a really soft, forgiving floor, but its main purpose is interactive targets that kids or their older brothers or parents love kicking soccer balls at targets. It's really rewarding to try and hit the target, and it's surprisingly hard, and kids will do it again and again. So a soccer or a sports area is we would say highly recommended if you've got the space.
Love that. And then your next product, which I think will do really, really well in America for some obvious reasons, is your ballistic shooting gallery. I'm excited to see this because this is something that I've never seen before.
Well, we're looking forward to finding the first FunSpot customer for this. I mean, who doesn't like shooting at a target that flashes and makes a noise when it hits, and having it in a competitive environment where you're either blue team or you're red team, and you're fighting against the opponents to get more points than the others. So this is a really simple concept, and but guaranteed to be really, really popular, and certainly from an FEC or a multi-activity center point of view, it adds more wow factor. It's another nice competitive move. The next sketch of this shown on the next slide, there is a concept. We can use these same targets for Nerf guns, dart guns, create an arena like that. They're really, really flexible, and who's not going to enjoy getting their best score with 10 darts at in an environment like that. Yeah. So that's a quick high-level view. We also have a number of other products we've developed this year to go with what Colin was talking about. We've got interactive features to go into climbing walls for either traversing walls or full-height auto belay places. you know, a few simple lights from, you know, of our system doesn't have to cost a lot, and it can create a really exciting sort of speed climbing challenge as well. So we've got that and a number of other things, but all of them will be available via FunSpot. So you know that FunSpot has at its disposal a range of really flexible interactive features that can add, you know, a lot of excitement. If you could flip onto the one slide which just kind of captures them all. So yeah, that's it. And then the last thing was just our names, which you can come straight to us, but FunSpot are there ready to make the most of what we can offer and add value to an FEC or activity center.
Thank you, Harry, for all that information. And it never seems to end with you guys with the development of new products. So I'm excited to see what's going to come for the rest of this year and maybe next year. So that kind of concludes our vendor presentation. And so now to kind of move quickly into the Q&A session, we've got a few questions that I definitely want to hit on. One of the ones that I think that I would be best suited to answer is one from Sarah. She asks, what activity, according to you, fits best within a trampoline park? And, you know, in a trampoline park, you're going to want to have your key attractions, your main court dodgeball, foam pit, or airbag pit. Sorry, I'm always used to saying foam pit, but that's definitely changing these days. And then your basketball lanes. But on top of that, you know, I think what's important is to understand your customer first, what competition you have and what space you have. But I would lean towards any one of the solutions that we've just gone over here today. You know, Rugged Interactive obviously provides a lot of gamification, as well as Valo and VR Studios. I think we can't miss out on opportunities to add something that adds that gamification. And that's why, for instance, dodgeball is so popular even still today in a trampoline park, because kids are competing against each other. So any one of those products from those companies are going to be crucial. But beyond that, some of the more popular attractions that we normally do in a trampoline park would be a racing zip line. And it's not your traditional zip line where you're harnessed in. It's one where you actually get to fall and drop off into the airbag. And so we've got some videos on our website if you want to look at that. And then we still also have a trampoline survivor, which has basically four jumping units with a sweeping arm that comes around that you have to jump over or duck under, which continues to be probably our most popular feature in the trampoline park. So hopefully that answers that. And on one of the slides, maybe we can hit one of the next slides. We actually have a view of a next gen park, and we'll leave that up as we kind of talk through some of these next questions. We've got from, excuse me, I won't know how to pronounce your name, but here's the question. For the clip and climb, is it possible to have them on exterior walls? So I'm hoping that maybe Colin or Franz is still on and can help answer one of those questions, whichever one wants to chime in real quick.
Yeah, I can quickly step in there. And the simple answer is yes. Pretty well all the challenges are suitable for outdoors, but we need to be mindful of weather conditions, of course, whether it be moisture in the air or even salt in the air or heavy winds, to ensure that both the characteristics of the panels and the steel are suitable for those weather conditions. And in addition, we need to think about the orientation to the sun to make sure that climbers aren't climbing and looking into the sun. So constructing shade or some kind of canopy to keep climbers dry as best possible is always worth considering. The beauty of the clip and climb is that every single challenge is different. They're all modular in that we can make them different sizes, etc. But ultimately, we have a system that gives massive variety on a standardized approach. And we just need to think about the ones that are better suited to outdoor locations than others. So ones that don't have too much plywood in them, which is predominantly the flat panel ones, are probably a little better for longevity outdoors. But we do offer everything outdoors.
Thank you, Colin. That's super helpful because I didn't know how. I mean, I've seen some, but I didn't realize how we can pretty much do anything and some of the conditions that you need to consider when thinking about that. So thanks for that. Philip asks, do you think the trend goes to even bigger and bigger parks, or do you think smaller locations can have a place in the industry as well? And I think maybe we lean on Gina and Alfredo to answer that because they've seen some of the trends of both bigger locations, but also smaller locations just to size restraints. Can you guys talk on that a little bit?
Hey,
there you are.
Some problems with the connection. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so the question from Philip here, do you think the trend goes to even bigger and bigger parks, or do you think smaller locations can have a place in the industry as well?
Well, I think it will depend on your market, to be honest with you. If you are in a big city and you can find an opportunity to go there and compete with an existing trampoline park, like the old-fashioned trampoline park, maybe you have a good opportunity there with a bigger park with a nice with several features in attractions. And if you're in a smaller city, we can definitely help you out to make your park or to be able to fit several attractions in a small footprint as well. So I don't think that there's only one option here, to be honest with you. I don't see that as an issue. It will depend on your market. That's my best answer.
I see more and more locations opening in smaller markets, which means you really should have a smaller facility. Just going into smaller markets doesn't mean you can still build at 40 and 50,000 square feet or bigger. You need to, downsize to make it appropriate for your market. And I think that's where these activities from VR Studios and Valo and Rugged are really key in adding those. We've not had since the beginning of this industry anything to offer other than large trampoline arenas, and now we've got some much more smaller attractions. So I think the answer is yes. I think you can go bigger if you think that's what's necessary for market, but we absolutely see smaller and smaller places opening up. So hopefully that answers your question, Philip. Next question is, I'm wondering if your services extend to West Africa and Nigeria, to be precise. I know the answer is yes. I don't know who on my team might be best to answer that. So whoever wants to chime in there.
I think the question mark was for Greg, for Activate, to be honest.
Oh, okay, great. Greg, do you know if you have the ability to go to West Africa and Nigeria?
We actually have to do a little bit of research. I'm not sure if we can do Nigeria or not. We'd have to look into that before I can give a specific answer. The service can, absolutely. It depends on the integrations we have to our credit card processing providers if they offer service in Nigeria. I would have to reach out to them and find out.
Well, we'll be sure and connect you with Fatih to make sure we get that question answered. So thanks for that. Next question, how many clip and climb centers do we have in Europe, and why do we think it's a good activity for families? Maybe, I'm not sure who might be best to answer that. Maybe Colin again or someone else?
Yeah, I can happily respond to that as best I can. I don't have the figure immediately at hand, but we've got something like 354 facilities across the planet. And the country with the most facilities is the UK, followed by sort of Western Europe, dividing between France and Spain and others. And then the spread extends, of course, across the USA and Canada, and then we have Australasia and Asia. So we really have a fantastic spread of clip and climb facilities. It is probably fair to say that the majority of the facilities are in the kind of first world nations, although we're now seeing them popping up everywhere in sort of newer emerging nations. Yeah, growing everywhere.
Yeah, thanks for that. This question I think is probably for Yoni. For the Flex Arena, how many games do you propose and what are the prices? Christoph wants more information, so we'll be sure and connect you, but can you speak on that a little bit?
Sure. The Flex currently supports 4 different arena games for anywhere from 1 to 8 players. They're all highly competitive, highly replayable. including supporting Hoops Madness now, so you can get the benefits of the sports-like competition and the basketball game. The pricing is either a license, a yearly license, or a monthly, and I'm happy to pick up the conversation with you offline and talk about how we can do that. We also offer a variety of different financing instruments, common financing instruments, in order to get the attraction into your place. I can also provide for you like general, ROI and utilization that we've seen in the marketplace and so on, so you can see what to expect with it. The Flex is extremely unique in that it really gets you running around. I mean, you are running around in a 20 by 20 meter space, so imagine there's something looking like a game of laser tag or dodgeball or basketball for that matter.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We've got a question from Russell, or more of a statement. He'd like to get some information on the racing zip line. We'll be sure to send that to you, Russell. A question from Jania from Value Motion. Did you recognize any trends that show whether customers prefer one player, competitive or fun games and entertainment over team or group activities? Did FEC suggest to that? I think the answer is yes. In fact, I kind of know the answer is yes. I mean, even within the early trends of a trampoline park, much more people preferred to play dodgeball against each other than just go jump on the main court. And so the market reacted to that initially by starting to shrink those individual activities like the main court, and they would add a second dodgeball court, and then they might add a third dodgeball court. We saw as many as 3 in one trampoline park probably back in 2015, 2016, and this was kind of before new products were being introduced into the market that was a better option than that third dodgeball court. Then we had even more solutions that were better than that second dodgeball court. And all those options that started to replace those second and third dodgeball courts were other competitive solutions. So Valo specifically, tons of rugged interactive equipment with the cardio wall duos and the high nines. Now with the introduction of the Aero Strikes and the target games that they have, Valo with their Valo Climb that's competitive, as well as the Valo Motion that you can set up 2-player. Didn't mention this, but I love me and Eldad have a joint customer who's about to set up 8 Valo jump units next to each other. So I'm really excited to go out to that park and take a look at it. So yeah, I mean, everybody is now looking, okay, how can I adjust to the market and the trends so that I have a very gamification heavy part, because they've all understood that that's what really drives that repetitive traffic to your location. So that's a really great question. Thanks for sending that. I think our slide where it shows some of the different features inside a park kind of pinpoint all the competitive elements within, and we'll make sure we get that to you. One question that came in during answering a question was, define what a small footprint of a facility might be and what a large footprint, or what the sweet spot be. And again, I love that question. I hate it at the same time. It really does depend on your market. But I know for me personally, and Alfreda, Gina can probably back me up on this, but we've designed parks, adventure parks, into spaces that are as small as 10,000 square feet. And then we've worked also in biggest spaces as 80 and 90,000 square feet. I believe we have an upcoming project in China that's over 200,000 square feet or something wild like that. And so, it really, I think the sweet spot will be where you can have a capacity and a number of attractions to help you compete in the market. And typically what we see that is here in the US, at least, is probably somewhere around 30,000 square feet. Alfredo and Gina, over in Europe, do you feel like that's any different for you guys?
Well, we've created designs from, say, 300 square meters of, I would say minimum 500, I suppose, but it depends if it's in a small, we've designed areas that is in a shopping center, and it's just a small area just for trampolines. So really there is no limit. There's no minimum, really. And then when it is small, what we do is go up, like do if there is good ceiling height, we do like a double story ninja, or even if we can fit in a small ropes course, we try and fill the area as much as possible.
Yeah, I love that, being able to use that overhead space, because that's, I mean, you're kind of paying for that ultimately, and traditionally we didn't have any attractions to fill that space, but now with the double story ninja courses and ropes courses we do. So I love how you pointed that out. Fatih, yes, I got your message here. We will definitely reach out and get you some information on startup cost. We do offer full design, full shipping, install, setup, training of the staff. Something we really didn't point out here on this call was the fact that turnkey includes actually sending a trainer on site to show you the ropes, teach you safety, how to run a birthday party, and even how to, and best practices on customer service. So thank you for reminding me, and we'll definitely send you some more information on that. Well, this is only overrun by an hour for the expected hour length. We appreciate everybody hanging in there. We had a lot of questions about this being recorded, and we absolutely do have it recorded, and we will send that out to everybody who put their name on this list. If you think you want the recording later, feel free to email us. Here's some contact information. You can reach our entire sales team that was on this Zoom call by just emailing sales@funspot.com or visiting our website. Be sure and follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. We love to travel and look at different parks, whether they're ours or not, and shoot and film videos to point out some of the things that we really love about those locations, and talk to the owners and get testimonials. And that's where a lot of our customers learn a lot, by seeing for themselves inside other people's locations, what they've identified that's working well or what's not working well, and honestly where we start to learn what's new and upcoming in the industry. So be sure and keep up with us there. Beyond that, we're going to stick on for a little bit. If you feel like hanging out, and if you've got any other questions that you'd rather ask privately, feel free to hang out. But from FunSpot, we would really just love to thank everyone for joining us today, taking the time out of your day. Wherever you're at, we hope you're safe and hanging in there. And we just want to partner with you towards your success through 2021. And we're really looking forward to helping you out. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Tifon, maybe we could unlock it so that people could unmute themselves and ask questions if they want. I see some people hanging out. If you want to talk, you can also drop a message in here, and we'll see if we can't unmute you. I see Robin hanging out. I'm excited to see your face. See Trevor's there. Glad you can make it. Hopefully you're cozy up in Canada and keeping warm and eating some Apple Jacks. We do have a catalog, Christoph, and as far as prices go, a lot of times the different attractions can be adjusted in size. So it's difficult to have some fixed price associated with a specific attraction. So what we'll do is we'll pair you up with a local representative to you in from where, if you'll put it in the chat where you're from, we'll make sure we'll pair you with someone who can kind of go over the attractions, kind of give you a range or start to budget out the different costs of attractions. Some do have a fixed price, but we'll be glad to pair you up with someone to help kind of budget out those things. Hey, Matt.